folks along the table here, my Deputy Director in charge of Property Management, Shirlene Hancock, and to her right, Monet Wardle, to her right, Travis Daly, and then Tish Larson. And Tiffany Nielsen here is here, our comptroller. She'll be helping us handle the financial part of this. And in the back of Daryl Davis and Brad Daly, who will be handling any closings on properties and finalization of contracts. And we're expecting a representative from the Attorney General's office to join me shortly. I'd also like to recognize Zach Whitney, who's going to help us with the AV. This will be recorded as it's a public meeting. I'd also like to acknowledge my supervisor, Randy Park, and I also want to recognize Sitla's contribution. We've stolen shamelessly from their auction process, and we have Diane Lund with us today. She has given us lots of advice and counsel and critiques in terms of helping us to get to this point today. So we appreciate for being here and for your help in getting to this point. You will also be the one we blame if it goes horribly wrong. I'm kidding. Okay. All proceeds from today's sale will be deposited into an escrow account held by the department within 48 hours of the auction. And by the way, I'm going to read the rules first just so that we're all on the same page. Next, property taxes. Although property taxes have not been assessed on these parcels because we're a tax-exempt organization, once they are sold, purchasers become liable to pay property taxes pursuant to applicable statutes. General auction information. All bidders are assumed to be knowledgeable concerning the sales process and parcels on which they intend to bid. The sale of property is subject to any and all rules and statutes concerning the sale of property owned by the Utah Department of Transportation in force at the time of the sale. The minimum acceptable price has been established for each parcel and has been disclosed. Pursuant to UDOT's Administrative Rule R907-80, sealed bids for parcels that have a minimum acceptable selling price must not be less than the amount disclosed. Bids which are less than the minimum acceptable selling price will not be accepted. Just for appraisals, engineering doc preparation, administrative fees, and sales processing costs. Will be offered at the information table, again located just outside of this room. Therefore, UDOT does not warrant the exact boundaries or acreage. As such, the department assumes no obligation to stake or survey the offered properties. No water rights or shares are included in the sale of any properties today. Reservations of sale will be read prior to the commencement of the oral auction for each parcel. Today's auction is being recorded pursuant to the Utah Open and Public Meetings Act. Next, we're going to talk about the bidding process. Each sale is being made on a reserve, and the Utah Department of Transportation reserves the right to reject any and all bids or cancel a sale at any time prior to actually executing the purchase contract. We remind bidders bound to their bid offerings, whether written or oral. Those desiring to purchase any parcel must submit a sealed bid today. The envelope must be labeled with the name of the parcel for which the bid is being submitted. All parcels in today's auction require a 10% deposit. Bid payable to the Utah Department of Transportation. Bids which do not include the specific bid deposits will be rejected. Bid deposits will be shredded at the close of the auction or, upon request, returned to unsuccessful bidders. Unclaimed checks will also be shredded at the close of the auction. Parcel by describe the property to be sold and any restrictions or other issues of which we have knowledge regarding that parcel. After describing the parcel, I will announce a final call for bids. All bids which we have received in the mail, along with any bids which are received today, will be opened and read aloud. Once a bid is open, it cannot be retracted or changed. An oral auction will proceed immediately after opening the sealed bids. The bidders who qualify for the oral auction will be limited to the following: the 3 highest bidders which are equal to or greater than the minimum selling price listed, and anyone whose sealed bid is at least 80% of the 3rd highest bid. There are no lessees on any of the parcels that we're offering today. The oral auction will start at the highest sealed bid amount, and after each oral auction, unsuccessful bidders' bid sheets and checks will be taken to the closers and shredded. Closing. Prevailing bidders are required to enter into a purchase contract at the end of the auction. Deposit money along with closing costs identified for the parcel will be deposited into an escrow account held by the department until the closing date. The sale transaction must be closed within 30 days of the date of the contract unless good cause exists to delay the closing. As previously stated, a purchase contract will be prepared by the Utah Department of Transportation for each parcel. The purchase contract must be signed and returned to UDOT at the end of the auction. Failure to sign and return the purchase contract by the end of the auction may result in the cancellation of the sale and forfeiture of any money tendered, including the down payment. No rights vest in the purchaser until the purchase contract has been signed by the Director of Right-of-Way. If a title company is used for closing, the department will instruct the company to record the deed and send it to the Department of Transportation after closing. In the event a check submitted to cover the down payment or closing costs is returned by the bank, we may take legal action to collect said funds. Property will be transferred via quit claim deed, and execution of the purchase contract will take place down the hall with Darrell Davis and Brad Daly. We have 13 parcels for auction today. 11 of them are subject to what I've just read. There are 2 today, though, that are subject to what we call a first right of refusal. And that means that whatever value, the highest value is today for the final 2 properties, the original property owner that we purchased the property from has the right to match that offer and buy the property at those terms. And I'll read some more information on that when we before we have those 2 parcels up for sale. We advertised a 3rd one, and we have received a waiver of that first right of refusal, and that's the one at 1156 West, 500 South in West Bountiful. So that will be part of the first part of the auction. Are there any questions? Okay, let's begin with the auction. All right, the first property for auction is 305 East, 700 South in Clearfield, Davis County. It has multiple structures, one of which used to be a Jiffy Lube. 7,708 feet, 1.77 acres. The minimum acceptable bid is $655,000. Minimum deposit $65,000. Closing costs of $4,550. Pertinent information: the property does not have access directly to SR 193. The access is from the city street called Depot Street. Reservations of sale: the property is subject to a public utility easement and slope easement. Signs, billboards, and outdoor advertising structures, or any advertising of any time as defined in 23 United States Code Section 135, shall not be erected, displayed, placed, or maintained upon or within this tract, except signs to advertise the sale, hire, or lease of this tract, or the principal activities conducted on this land. Together with and subject to any and all easements, rights of way, and restrictions appearing of record or enforceable in law and equity, junkyards, as defined in 23 United States Code Section 136, shall not be established or maintained on the above described tract of land. The first right of refusal on this property has been waived by the previous property owner. And we now have last call for bids on auction item number 1 and auction item number 2, which is 750 South Depot Street in Clearfield. Last call for bids. Okay, bidding is closed. Do we have any? We'll now open the bids.
Is paddle number 178? We don't have the sealed bid.
Okay.
You're not? Okay.
No bids? All right. We had last call for bid item number 2, 750 South Depot Street. Are there any bids for that? Okay, bidding is closed. Do you have any bids for that one? Nope. Okay, last call for bids on auction item 3. We don't have any bids for auction item 2. Last call for bids on auction item 3 and 4. 3 and 4. Auction item 3 is 2057 West, 1800 North in Clinton. Land with structures, the old Clinton Maintenance Station we call it. 5.5 acres, minimum acceptable bid, $3,390,000. Access is off of 1800 North, also known as SR 37. Property is subject to a perpetual access easement. Same reservations of sales, signs, billboards, outdoor advertising structures shall not be erected, displayed, placed, or maintained, except signs to advertise the sale, hire, or lease of this tract or the principal activities conducted on this land. The grantor reserves the rights to use the abutting state property for highway purposes and excludes from this grant any rights to air, light, view, and visibility over and across the abutting state property. The grantee is hereby advised that due to present or future construction on the adjacent highway, including but not limited to excavation, embankment, structures, poles, signs, walls, fences, and all other activities related to highway construction, or which may be permitted within the highway right-of-way, the air, light, view, and visibility may be restricted or obstructed on the above described property. Together with and subject to any and all easements, rights-of-way, and in law and equity, and junkyards shall not be established or maintained on the above tracts of land. First right of refusal does not apply to this property. The first right of refusal. Do we have any final bids? All right, bidding is closed. And we'll open any bids if there are any. Yep. Roaring along. Final call for bid item, auction item number 4, 5415 South, 4235 West in Kearns. Vacant land, formerly a gas station on .282 acres. Minimum acceptable bid is $160,000. Closing cost $4,050. Access, the property does not have access directly onto 5400 South, also known as SR 173. Access is from 2865 West. Reservations of sale, together with and subject to any and all easements, rights of way, and restrictions appearing of record or enforceable in law and equity.
Sorry.
Signs, billboards, outdoor advertising structures, or advertising of any kind as defined in Title 23, Section 131 shall not be erected, displayed, placed, or maintained upon or within this tract, except signs to advertise the sale, hire, or lease of this tract or the principal activities conducted on this land. Junkyards shall not be established or maintained on this tract. This described tract of land is granted without access to or from the adjoining SR 173, 5415 South Street. The grantor reserves rights to use the abutting state property for highway purpose and excludes from this grant any rights to air, light, view, and visibility over and across the abutting state property. First right of refusal has been waived by the previous property owner. This parcel was formerly a Holiday Oil gas station site. The site continues to be covered by the Utah Petroleum Storage Tank Fund, which covers most costs associated with site investigation, monitoring, and remediation. This coverage can be transferred to any party who purchases the site. Last call for bids. Okay, bidding is closed. Do we have any bids? All right. Last call for bids on auction item number 5, located at 490 South, 600 West in Salt Lake. It's a piece of vacant land that is 15.236 acres. The minimum acceptable bid is $9,950,000. 10% deposit of $995,000. Closing costs of $4,950. The property does not have any access from Bangerter Highway. Access is off of 600 West. Reservations of sale, signs, billboards, outdoor advertising structures, or advertising of any kind as defined in Title 23, Section 131, shall not be erected, displayed, placed, or maintained upon or within this tract, except signs to advertise the sale, hire, or lease of this tract or the principal activities conducted on the land. The grantor reserves rights to use the abutting state property for highway purposes and excludes from this grant any rights to air, light, view, and visibility over and across the abutting state property. The grantee is hereby advised that due to present or future construction on the adjacent highway, including but not limited to excavation, embankment, structures, poles, signs, walls, fences, and all other activities related to highway construction, or which may be permitted within the highway right-of-way, that air, light, view, and visibility may be restricted or obstructed on the above property. Together with and subject to any and all easements, rights of way, and restrictions appearing of record or enforceable in law and equity, and junkyards shall not be established or maintained on the above tract of land. First letter of refusal does not apply. And bidding is now closed. Do we have any bids on this property? Okay. How you doing? see it, please? See it? We have one bid. All right. From the Boyer Company, Gardner Company, and it is at the minimum acceptable bid of $9,950,000. And seeing as there are no other bids, congratulations. If the Boyer Company intends to bid on any other properties, then please let the gentleman in the back know. Otherwise, you can meet with Brad and Daryl to start the closing process. All right. Last call for bids on auction item number 6, which is the property across the street from this last property. It's located at 13490 South, 600 West. It's another piece of vacant land, 32.81 acres. Minimum acceptable bid, $15 million. Deposit of $1.5 million. Closing costs are $5,450. Similar to the last one, property does not have access directly onto Bangerter Highway. The access is from 600 West. The parcel is subject to perpetual easements, signs, billboards, outdoor advertising structures, advertising of any kind as defined in Title 23, Section 131 shall not be erected, displayed, placed, or maintained upon or within this tract except signs to advertise the sale, hire, or lease of this tract or the principal activities conducted on this land. The grantor reserves the right to use the abutting state property for highway purposes and excludes from this grant any rights to air, light, view, and visibility over and across the abutting state property. The grantee is hereby advised that due to present or future construction on the adjacent highway, including but not limited to excavation, embankment, structures, poles, signs, walls, fences, and all other activities related to highway construction or which may be permitted within the highway right-of-way, the air, light, view, and visibility may be restricted or obstructed on the above property. Together with and subject to any and all easements, rights-of-way, and restrictions appearing of record or enforceable in law and equity, and junkyards as defined in Title 23 of the USC, Section 136 shall not be established. First right of refusal does not apply to this property as it was a voluntary sale. A memorandum of agreement executed in May this year regarding the Bangerter Highway and 600 West interchange stipulates that UDOT shall allocate $5,000 to a fund which will be used for maintenance of the Galena, Soon-Connie Preserve Sundial Monument by the Fire and State Lands. These funds will be allocated by UDOT after the sale of the surplus property. All right. Bidding is now closed on this property, and we'll open any bids if there are any. Nope? Okay. No bids on that property. Okay, last call for bids on auction item number 7, 721 East, 1220 South in Draper. 1.37 acres of vacant land. Minimum acceptable bid, $765,000. Deposit of $76,500. Closing costs of $4,550. No access from 7th East. The access is from 1220 South. Again, as with all these, signs, billboards, outdoor advertising structures, or advertising of any kind as defined in Title 23 United States Code Section 131 shall not be erected, displayed, placed, or maintained upon or within this tract except signs to advertise the sale, hire, or lease of the tract or the principal activities conducted on this land. The grantor reserves the rights to use the abutting state property for highway purposes and excludes from this grant any rights to air, light, view, and visibility over and across the abutting state property. The grantee is hereby advised that due to present or future construction on the adjacent highway, including but not limited to excavation, embankment, structures, poles, signs, walls, fences, and all other activities related to highway construction or which may be permitted within the highway right-of-way, that air, light, view, and visibility may be restricted or obstructed on the above described property. This property is sold together with and subject to any and all easements, rights-of-way, and restrictions appearing as of record or enforceable in law and equity, and junkyards are not allowed. First right of refusal does not apply, and we will now close bidding on this piece of property. Are there any bids? All right. Moving on, last call for bids on auction item number 8. 12981 South Redwood Road in Riverton. 0.332 acres of vacant land. Minimum acceptable bid is $175,000. Deposit is $17,500. Closing costs of $3,950. Access is off of SR 68, also known as Redwood Road. Parcel subject to a perpetual easement and a temporary easement. Signs, billboards, outdoor advertising structures, or advertising of any kind, as defined in 23 USC section 135, shall not be erected, displayed, placed, or maintained upon or within this tract, except signs to advertise the sale. And I'm going to correct that. That's section 131. I've read it 7 times so far. Shall not be erected, displayed, placed, or maintained upon or within this tract, except signs to advertise the sale, hire, or lease of this tract or the principal activities conducted on this land. This property is sold together with and subject to any and all easements, rights of way, and restrictions appearing of record or enforceable in law and equity, and junkyards are not allowed. First right of refusal does not apply. Bidding is now closed. Do we have any bids? No. All right, last call for auction item 9, 13233 South Redwood Road in Riverton, 0.261 acre piece of vacant ground. Minimum acceptable bid is $135,000. Deposit is $13,500. Closing costs of $39.50. Did I? Apparently I did. No, did I read it? Okay. All right, I've been informed that I pulled 2 pieces of paper. We are on, is it 7 or 8? Okay. All right. Okay, let's start this going. We are looking at parcel number 8, 12981 South Redwood Road in Riverton, 0.332 acres. I already read this. Minimum acceptable bid of $175,000. Did I not already read this? Yeah. Absolutely, right? Either that or I'm going crazy. Yeah, we did that one too. We're on number 9. We're on number 9, right?
We're on number 9.
Thank you. I'm not going crazy. Much. All right, we're on auction number 9. 13233 South Redwood Road in Riverton. 0.261 acres of vacant land. Minimum acceptable bid, $135,000. Deposit is $13,500. Closing costs of $39.50. Access is directly off of SR 68, which is also known as Redwood Road. Parcel is subject to a perpetual easement. Signs, billboards, advertising structures, or advertising of any kind as defined in 23 United States Code section 131 shall not be erected, displayed, placed, or maintained upon or within this tract, except signs to advertise the sale, hire, or lease of this tract or the principal activities conducted on this land, together with and subject to any and all easements, rights of way, and restrictions appearing of record or enforceable in law and equity. Junkyards, as defined in 23 United States Code, Section 136, shall not be established or maintained on the above described tracts of land. First right of refusal does not apply, as this property was a voluntary sale. All right, we will close bids. Are there any? Moving on. We are now on auction number 10. 12986 South Geronimo Circle in Riverton. Vacant land, 4.23 acres. And I'm going to say that that square feet is 0.423 acres. $18,451 square feet. Yes. Pardon? All right, my quick math says 0.423. Anybody want to arm wrestle on that?
The parcel order at Lyle says 3.419 acres for 8,932 square feet.
All right. Which one are we referring to? Let's make sure that before I move forward that we're being accurate here. All right. We're going to grab a copy of the deed and make sure. In the meantime, let's go ahead to number 11. And we'll come back to 10. All right, parcel number 11 is 1156 West, 500 South in West Bountiful. 3.419 acres of vacant land. Minimum acceptable bid is $915,000, deposit of $91,500, closing costs of $4,550. Parcel has access from 5th South, also known as Redwood. And that is not known as Redwood. It is just 5th South. All right. The parcel is access restricted to 5th South and put into place by the city's master plan. Firewood access parcel 5:STAQ through parcel 5B:STAQ. Properties are subject to both a perpetual and a perpetual access easement. Again, as with all these properties, signs, billboards, outdoor advertising structures, or advertising of any kind as defined in Title 23 USC Section 131 shall not be erected, displayed, placed, or maintained upon or within this tract except signs to advertise the sale, hire, or lease of this tract or the principal activities conducted on this land. Grantor reserves rights to use the abutting state property for highway purposes and excludes from this grant any rights to air, light, view, and visibility over and across the abutting state property. Grantee is hereby advised that due to present or future construction on the adjacent highway, including but not limited to excavation, embankment, structures, poles, signs, walls, fences, and other activities related to highway construction or which may be permitted within the highway right-of-way, the air, light, view, and visibility may be restricted or obstructed on the above property. Pursuant to Title 72, Chapter 6, Section 117, Utah Code Annotated, 1998 as amended, The above described tract of land is granted without access to or from adjoining 5th South right-of-way and limited access line over and across southerly boundary line of said tract of land, accepting and reserving to grantor, their successors or assigns the right of access to the said adjoining SR 68 5th South Highway over and across the northerly right-of-way and limited access line for one 60-foot section, which said is at a point directly opposite left Highway Engineer Station 57 plus 3.27. Together with and subject to any and all easements, rights of way, and restrictions appearing of record or enforceable in law and equity, and junkyards are not allowed. First right of refusal on this property was recently waived, and we will now close bidding. Are there any? All right. Let's go back to parcel to the number 10. Okay, so it is the three lots. Okay, so the acreage is 0.423 acres, 18,451 square feet. Vacant land at 12986 South Geronimo Circle in Riverton. Minimum deposit is $19,097.50. Closing costs of $4,750. The access is from Geronimo Circle to the property. And again, reservations of sale, signs, billboards, outdoor advertising structures, or advertising of any kind as defined in Title 23 USC Section 131 shall not be erected, displayed, placed, or maintained upon or within this tract, except signs to advertise the sale, hire, or lease of this tract, or the principal activities conducted on this land. The grantor reserves rights to use the abutting state property for highway purposes and excludes from this grant any rights to air, light, view, and visibility over and across the abutting state property. Grantee is hereby advised that due to present or future construction on the adjacent highway, including but not limited to excavation, embankment, structures, poles, signs, walls, fences, and all other activities related to highway construction or which may be permitted within the highway right-of-way, that air, light, view, and visibility may be restricted or obstructed on the above property. Pursuant to Title 72, Chapter 6, 117, Utah Code Annotated, the above described tract of land is granted without access to or from the adjoining roadways over and across the westerly lot line of said Lot 756, also known as the Mountain View Corridor, together with and subject to any and all existing utilities, easements, rights of way, and restrictions appearing of record or enforceable in law and equity, and junkyards are not allowed. First right of refusal has been waived by the previous property owner. And we will now close bids on this. Are there any? Nope. All right. We now go to the final two, which are the ones that have first rights of refusal. All right. I'm going to read yet more. Okay, so these last two pieces are subject to a first right of refusal. And so I'm going to read a little bit about that. Successful bidders of a parcel which has a first right of refusal attached to it required to enter into a purchase contract at the end of the auction. The department will also collect the deposit money along with closing costs identified for the parcel, which will be deposited into an escrow account while the holder of the first right of refusal is notified of the successful bid. Please note that these funds will be held for up to 90 days while the original owner considers exercising their first right of refusal. Original owners holding their first right of refusal, the original owner who holds the first right of refusal will be notified by registered mail of the dollar amount and terms of the highest bid as soon as practicable after the end of the auction. If the original owner is in attendance at the auction, written notification of the dollar amount and terms of the sale will be presented, and as such, the owner will be considered notified. The holder of the first right of refusal will have within 90 days from the date of written notification to inform the department in writing whether the holder agrees to the amount of the highest bid and terms of the sale or if they intend to waive their right. If the department does not receive such written notification from the original owner at the end of the 90 days, the department will consider the right waived, and the person who made the highest bid at the auction will be contacted notifying them that their bid has been accepted. The closing will be scheduled within 30 days from the date of that notification. If the holder of the first right of refusal waives that right, the person who made the highest bid at the auction will be notified by the department that their bid has been accepted. The closing will be scheduled within 30 days from the date of the notification. If the holder of the first right of refusal retains their right, the holder will enter into a purchase contract with the department for the amount of the highest bid made at the close of the auction, and the closing will be scheduled within 30 days from the date of the notification. The department at this time will notify the person making the highest bid at the auction of the holder's decision to retain their right, and all deposit money and closing costs held in escrow will be returned. Are there any questions? All right. Okay, so we are last call for bids on auction item number 12, which is 21865 West, 113 84th South in South Jordan, 1.024 acres of vacant land. Minimum acceptable bid $245,000. Deposits $24,500. Closing costs of $4,100. Property does not have access to 114th South. Access is from 2865 West. Property is subject to a perpetual easement. Signs, billboards, advertising structures, or advertising of any kind as defined in 23 U.S.C. Section 135 should not be erected, displayed, placed, or maintained upon or within this tract, except signs to advertise the sale, hire, or lease of this tract or the principal activities conducted on this land. It's sold together with and subject to any and all easements, rights of way, or restrictions appearing of record or enforceable in law and equity, and junkyards are not allowed. First right of refusal on this property has been retained by the previous property owner. All right. Any last bids being submitted? Okay, we will close bidding on this. What were these bids? Or is that the... Okay. All right. Oh, it's Jason. Okay, we have one bid in the amount of $265,000 from Jason and Jennifer Suarez. Are they present today? Okay. Congratulations. You got the property. All right. The final piece of property on the auction block today is parcel number 13. Parcel, it's located at 39 West, 114th South, 2.755 acres. Minimum acceptable bid is $3,298,004. Deposit is $329,800. Closing costs of $4,750. There is no access from 114th South. The access is from State Street. The parcel is subject to a non-exclusive perpetual cross-access easement for vehicular and pedestrian ingress and egress and public utilities to the adjoining State Street. It's subject to a perpetual sanitary sewer easement, together with and subject to any and all easements, rights of way, and restrictions appearing of record or enforceable in law and equity. The grantor reserves the right to use the abutting state property for highway purposes and excludes from this grant any rights to air, light, view, and visibility over and across the abutting state properties. The grantee is hereby advised that due to present or future construction on the adjacent highway, including but not limited to excavation, embankment, structures, poles, signs, walls, fences, and all other activities related to the highway construction, or which may be permitted within the highway right-of-way, the air, light, view, and visibility may be restricted or obstructed on the above property. Signs, billboards, outdoor advertising structures, or advertising of any kind as defined in Title 23 United States Section 131 shall not be erected, displayed, placed, or maintained upon or within this tract, except signs to advertise the sale, hire, or lease of this tract or the principal activities conducted on this land. Junkyards are not allowed. First right of refusal on this property has been retained, and we will, any last bids? Okay, we'll close bids on this item. Do we have any bids? I would love to know. Is that section 131 or is it section 135? Yeah. Is it section 131 or 135? Can you? Oh, I wonder if Dale's with the closing people. Are there multiple? Okay. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that turns out. Every quarter. Very good. All right, we have multiple bids on this particular property, two of which met the threshold for advancing to the oral auction. The entities holding paddle numbers 180 and 181. 180 and 181 present? All right. Okay, the The bidding will start at the highest offer received, which is $3,500,000. $3,500,000, thank you. It takes a village. $3,500,000. Do I have an offer of $3,600,000? All right, we have an offer at 3.6 from paddle 181. Do I have an offer of 3.7? 3.65. All right, we have an offer at $3,650,000. Do I hear $3,700,000?
I'm a little slow, I gotta do the math here. $1,675,000.
All right. We have $3,675,000. Million.
I'm not sure I can do that big a math. Thinking, I'll take 3.7, that's fine.
All right. E is at 3.7. Do I have an offer at 3,725? Yes, they do.
What are you at,
3,725,000.
is what
The last offer was 3,700,000.
I don't think I can make that work.
All right. Okay. Is there an increment that will work?
That's right, we need to go the other way.
Yeah, that's right.
We may have some irrational exuberance going on at the per square foot. Yeah, I know, I'm worried about that.
Is that an offer at 3,705?
What is it, 31? Yeah, I'll do it.
All right, we're at 3,705,000. Mr. 180, are you willing to go 3,710?
Sure.
181.
How about I just ask them how high or better?
Do I hear 3,715?
Yes, you do.
All right, I have 3,715. Do I hear 3,720?
Yeah.
All right, 180s.
That's smart, keep going 5,000, so he can have it at that if he wants it.
All right. So you're willing to concede?
I'm willing to see.
All right. We have a final sale price of $3,720,000 for paddle 180. Congratulations. All right, thank you very much everyone for attending. This auction is now closed. Yeah.